I've gotten a little shaggier in the last year. I'm Doss Williams. I'm your county supervisor. Come on up a little closer, everybody. Let's get friendly, especially if it starts raining. Some of you guys are gonna want to drift this way. We're all here for some many different reasons, but one of the most important reasons that we are here is to commemorate the sacrifices of the Ukrainian people after a year at war. From a year ago, Putin manipulated his country into war to invade. And I think all of us have been inspired by the heroism of the Ukrainian people. What even our, had a round of applause. What even some of our own strategic experts thought would be a short war where Ukraine was quickly defeated by superior firepower of the Russian military, it didn't turn out that way. And it turned out that fate was changed by the actions, the heroic actions of multiple Ukrainians and people who went over to help fight for Ukraine. But I'm pleased to tell you today that it is not just heroism of those that are far away. And Ukrainians are not just people that are far away over there. We have a thriving Ukrainian community right here in Santa Barbara. And my next two speakers here are Oksana and Tatyana. They are both, Oksana Yakushko is from Kiev, Ukraine, and is a Santa Barbara-based psychologist and professor. And Tatyana Taruta is originally from Mariupol, which some of you know has been completely destroyed in the siege of Mariupol. She's former advisor to the Ukrainian environmental minister, that's how I know her, and manages several businesses in Ukraine. Since the invasion, Oksana and Tatyana worked to bring attention to the horrors committed by Russia in Ukraine, publishing articles, helping to organize these rallies, and getting aid to Ukraine. So Oksana, Tatyana, please come up and greet us on behalf of your amazing nation.
Thank you all for coming. To Ukrainians, Slava Ukraini! Дякую, and thank you all for being here. And it's such a sad day to think of 1 year of this violence, and such a proud day to think it's been 365 days of fighting for freedom and democracy. And so I thank you all. I want to especially thank our community, Das, Greg, all of the Adam here, and all of the leaders in our community who have supported Ukraine and Ukrainians. I do want to also thank Janet and amazing world dancers who've been tirelessly supporting and gathering funds to send to Ukraine. And, today who could not be with us are the firefighters who have been through Project Guardian, and we have information and pictures from them, who've been going to Ukraine with life-saving equipment to share with firefighters who save people from bombed buildings, civilians. And so please support them and honor them. And lastly, I want to share that there's a lot of misinformation still about Ukraine and its history and what's going on. And we're trying to, through publications, through these gatherings, and also try to organize a library display with books and information that you can just, right here in our central library, to learn more about Ukraine's amazing history and what's going on in the country today. And so again, дякую from all of our hearts, Ukrainian hearts, and thank you for being here. And here's my dear friend Tanya.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for gathering today to stand with Ukraine, with freedom, with democracy. It was a year that took a lot from us. Many millions lost their homes, they had to flee. Millions will not be able to come back because Russia destroyed their homes, schools, hospitals, kindergartens. Tens of thousands lost their lives. Their lives were taken away and mutilated by Russian army. Russia kills, tortures, rapes on occupied territories. They kidnap Ukrainian kids and send them to Russia. There is no limits to unimpossible things that the cruelty of terrorists. For me personally, Russia took away my hometown, Mariupol, a big port city with 400,000 people, place where I was born and where I grew up. They took away some of my family members and friends. They were buried alive under concrete rubble, and later they were buried in mass graves together with concrete debris. Today, for this gathering, we picked and printed pictures that, in our opinion, represent these 365 days of Russian war in Ukraine. When there are no more words, pictures can show and photos can show horrors of the war. And I urge you to look at these pictures. I know sometimes it can be hard to look at them, but this is very important to look at them because this is the very reason of all the humanitarian help and, more important, military help that the US is so generously providing to Ukraine. And for that, me as Ukrainian will be eternally grateful to all Americans. Also, I want to say that this war should stop soon, and it should stop with the victory of Ukraine. For Ukraine, it's an existential war. If Russia stops fighting, the war is over. If Ukraine stops fighting, Ukraine is over. I want to mention today a study produced here in the US by very reputable authority, Yale Research Lab, that gathered together evidence that Russia take away children from alive parents, label them as orphans, and send them to special camps for re-education. More than 6,000 kids, and the report says that in reality it can be way more, kept in those facilities, kids from 6 months old to 17 years old, sent to those facilities to be brainwashed away from their parents. They cannot contact their parents. Basically, kids were kidnapped and brainwashed. The older kids having military training, so later they can join this war. This is impossible to imagine what Russia is capable of. That's why I think it's just one example of what Russia is doing on Ukrainian territory. This, what I mentioned, is actually, it's a violation of human rights. It's war crime, violation of genocide convention. It's a sign of genocide, and it was told by Yale. So this is why it's very important for Ukraine to liberate all its territories, all its people. Because if they are not liberated, if it's not free, if it's partially occupied by Russia, this is what all civilians will endure as long as Russia stays there. And I thank all of you, all people from Santa Barbara. You were so kind, so generous, so helpful to us. You supported our Ukrainian community so much. I thank all of you. Many of you did so much. I urge you again, and I know that many of you did it, please write to your elected officials. Ask them more help. For me personally, please ask for more military help to Ukraine, so this can end this war. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I had a moment that was a realization this morning. This is my daughter, Yakushko, she's 7, which was, she asked me, you know, the war is continuing. She said, how do they fight the war? Do they use swords and spears? I thought, how fortunate we are to live in a country where our children don't know about modern warfare. That is a great blessing. So I want, first of all, to say to people, all of us that support military aid to Ukraine, we want peace. We want peace very desperately. But we know, and you can read Putin's writings, why he has continued the war. Has continued the war because he believes we will not last. That we will grow tired of supporting Ukraine. That our decadence, our desire for economic prosperity will undermine our ideals, and that when we look at both together, that we will choose only our self-interest. Is that what America is about? No. I think he has not only underestimated the Ukrainian people, but he has also underestimated that the world has woken up and has woken up to the reality that our yearning for democracy takes sacrifice and commitment. And so I wanted to just introduce, we have many special guests, but we have not one, but two representatives of congressional offices today. We normally get Salud, and we've got Erica Reyes from Salud's office to read a statement. Come on up, Erica. But we also have another